Hello everyone, I'm meteorologist Charlie Neese. I want to update you on the severe thunderstorms. We have yet another line of severe thunderstorms getting ready to move through, and this will be coming through over the next couple of hours across the entire area. Now, the worst of the weather is in the form of a severe thunderstorm line that has the potential for some damaging winds, and this will be moving through Middle Tennessee really through the rest of the evening into the first part of the night. Let me show you what's going on now on the west side of Franklin, and you can see that overall we've got just the dark clouds. The skies are darkening. The line is approaching. It has come through Dixon. It is moving into Cheatham County. It is about to move into western Williamson County near Fairview, and then eventually it's going to pass over and go on through the Nashville area, and that's what we're going to be watching over the next few minutes. There is a tornado watch that's in effect for all of Middle Tennessee until 9 o'clock this evening, and as that line moves through, that's when we're going to see the most active weather. After it moves through, we are going to see a period of some heavy rain, and we're going to kind of transfer over into a flash flood threat as the ground's already saturated, and already the National Weather Service is issuing some flash flood warnings as this line is coming through. Now, I'm going to take a look at, they did just allow the tornado warning to expire. The National Weather Service allowed the tornado warning to expire, which is great news. They didn't extend the Dixon County tornado warning. They are keeping an eye on it. There is still some rotation, and the skies were very dark as they passed over the Dixon area, but fortunately right now, no confirmations of touchdowns as it came through Dixon. It just has some healthy rotation with it. So the National Weather Service did issue a tornado warning with it. It's also showing some signs, this line is, that there could be some hail with it. And you can see a new flash flood warning just issued for Robertson County and Sumner County. So we're going to start to see these flash flood warnings really be issued pretty continuously through the rest of the evening hours. This area of thunderstorms is, once it settles in, we're going to be seeing rain for the next few hours. Obviously already the ground is saturated, and with the saturated ground, we're going to see more in the way of threats for that flash flooding. So let's take a look at the warnings in detail, and I'll show you as we go from town to town what's going to be happening. So severe thunderstorm warning now for Dixon, Cheatham, Davidson, the northern northwestern third of, or half of Franklin and Williamson County, and then also back into parts of Hickman County. This is the most dangerous part of the line right here. You can see in these purple areas, it does look like there's some hail with it as well. The hail would be about to pass over Harpeth Valley. It's going to be passing over Purley Lane, also Harpeth Crossing, Luster Harris Road as it crosses into Cheatham County. So it looks like the central part of Cheatham County is going to be seeing the greatest threat from some hail here. May also be a little bit of hail with this system as it passes across. This is the Cheatham County, Dixon County line, and as it makes its way across the Harpeth River here around Miller Road there in the big bend of the Harpeth. Starting to hear some thunder. Again, let's take a look, see what you can see. We've got some gusty winds outside of the storm, and you can see there that across the horizon as the skies are darkening, again starting to hear some thunder as this line begins to move through. There was rotation a little earlier with it. Let's take a look at the rotation. There's still rotation. That rotation is coming out of Dixon County, moving into Cheatham County. Again, the communities of Harpeth Valley and Griffintown will be affected by this, as it, again, that's right on the Dixon-Cheatham County line. What's left of that rotation is going to move over Griffintown Road, Wade Reed Road, and Pine Road. No tornado warning with it, but that's where the rotation is, at least still holding up. But even outside of the rotation, we do have some very strong straight line winds. Let's take a look at the radars. Aloft is estimating winds in that 60 to 70 mile an hour range. Likely those winds are not coming all the way to the ground, but could be seeing some 50 mile an hour to 60 mile an hour gusts as that line pushes through your area. strong enough to down trees and potentially some power lines. So next up is Pegram. Pegram, it's about to move through you. It's moving into Kingston Springs as well, and is about to move into Ashland City, and is getting close to Pleasant View. Most of the worst of it will stay just to the south of Pleasant View, but Ashland City, Kingston Springs, Pegram, Fairview, all of you are going to get in the action as this storm system moves in with at least some gusty winds. Again, the National Weather Service did allow the tornado warning to expire, so it's just a severe thunderstorm warning. And now the National Weather Service is kind of mentioning what I just showed you on the radar. They're seeing some indications of very strong straight line winds, 70 to 80 miles an hour aloft. But again, that could translate down to 50 to 60 mile an hour winds here at the ground. And in certain cases, as cells die and they collapse within this line, some of those stronger winds can be brought down to the surface. So that's going to be the greatest threat with this line, is strong straight line winds. Fairview, from about Fairview to Ashland City going into western Nashville, that's where you're going to see the worst of this. It's raining really hard in Bon Aqua. It's raining really hard in Lyles. The lightning core indicating the healthiest updrafts within this line continue in those areas I just talked about, really from about Ashland City, headed into Ashland City down to the Fairview area. Severe thunderstorm warning. I'll read you the severe thunderstorm warning as written by the Weather Service. It remains in effect for Davidson, eastern Dixon, northern Williamson, Cheatham, northeastern Hickman, south central Robertson counties. Severe thunderstorm located along the line from near Ashland City to Kingston Springs. Potential is for 70 mile an hour winds. Hail damage is also potentially there. We showed you the areas highlighted for the highest potential for hail. Expect considerable tree damage. Wind damage is also likely with this line. So this line has been actually started back over West Tennessee and has been holding together long enough to now move into the Nashville area. Now, a lot of the computer models were holding off the rain until much later. Only a couple of them were kind of indicating that this was going to be a potential. And one of the things that we look for in these storm systems like this is when you start to see that curvature like that, we call that a bowing line. That's indication that there's some low-level jet energy that's kind of pushing into the back of the line and pushing and bowing it out. And again, if some of those stronger winds could be transferred down to the ground, you could see these swaths of wind damage. We're also, again, potentially seeing the hail threat with this increase, and that hail threat would be moving into Ashland City. So there's potential for at least some quarter-sized hail moving into Ashland City. Right now, it's moving along these roads, Petway Road, and is going to be crossing River Road here shortly. Blessing the weather dog, you can hear, is ready for action with the storms as they're getting ready to move in. On the west side of Franklin, here's the way it looks right now. The skies continue to darken. The worst of it is going to be passing, likely the most active weather is going to be passing just to the north of Franklin. Franklin, just the very north side, from about the center part of downtown north is really what's in this severe thunderstorm warning. That would be including Grassland with this. And so it's going to be the northern part of Williamson County. Fairview, some of the heaviest of the rain's coming in right now with this system. You can see the winds picking up. We've got some winds out even outside the storms, gusting in the 20 to 30 mile an hour range. Temperatures, there's pretty warm air ahead of this system. You can see where we've warmed up to 77 in parts of Nashville, but it's in mid-80s a little farther to the south. And these storms are going to ride along this boundary right up into Middle Tennessee. It's much cooler to the north, where you can see, like in Robertson County, it's only in the 60s right now. So we have one of those boundaries again that's set up like we talked about on Thursday, and that boundary's kind of running just about like that. And so the worst of the storm is likely going to ride that boundary somewhat like a train track as it moves to the northeast. Let's see what the Weather Service is saying on this storm. They're just still giving the heads up to the metro area for the potential for some pretty strong straight line winds. Once again, you can see the winds out blowing ahead of that storm as it's moving into and to the north of Franklin. Fairview will zoom into your area. There's Highway 100 and Highway 96. This is Interstate 40 right here. This is Highway 100. There's Highway 96. And so some of the heaviest of the rain's coming in right now, along with some gusty winds. We'll take a look at some of these winds again. Let's just take a look. So at least aloft, not necessarily at the ground, but at least aloft, these winds are pretty strong. And so there is the potential that in any of these areas, you could be seeing the winds eventually transferred down to the ground. We're running in the 60 to 65 mile an hour range with the winds just off the ground. And so you would look out for some of those winds to make it to the surface as it moves off toward the east. That's why the National Weather Service did issue that severe thunderstorm warning. The hail core with this is about to go through Sulphur Springs and Robin Hood Road. Near the intersection of Robin Hood Road and Ashland City Highway is where we're going to see hail. The threat for that hail is at least quarter size or so. I'm going to take a look at some more information here. And I'm able to see where the potential for some reports of what's going on with the line. So severe thunderstorm warning is in effect for Davidson County, including Bellevue, Forest Hills, Green Hills, really all of Davidson County, downtown Nashville, and then from Franklin downtown north, including Brentwood, including Fernvale, including Fairview, where some of the heaviest rains are coming in right now, with that potential for some winds that could down some trees, potentially damage some power lines as well. There are a bunch of power outages being noted in Dixon, and that's where the strongest of the bow, where call it the apex of the bow, moved through, indicating where the strongest of the winds would be. And right now, that's coming through Cheatham County and about to move into the western part of Davidson County. And that's why the severe thunderstorm warning has been issued. So no specific reports of trees down, power lines down, but there obviously are there is some sort of tree damage or power line damage in Dixon, as we have several reports, especially along Interstate 40 and just to the south, of power outages in Dixon County, several being reported. So the heaviest of the winds are coming through Ashland City now. Very heavy rains as well, with some thunder and lightning. You're kind of in the thick of it there in Pegram. You're starting to get on the backside of some of the heaviest of it in Kingston Springs, but still coming through. No tornado warning. See power lines down at the Waffle House and Pilot truck stop on Highway 46. Debris on road near Pomona. So that's being reported to the National Weather Service. So that's right, coincides with what's moving into the northern part of Williamson County, between Fairview and the county line up to Cheatham County, and then what's moving into western Davidson County. So there have also been some reports of, as the storm came through Dixon here, it ripped some siding off of a house. So we've got a history now of winds strong enough to do damage kind of right here on the leading edge of this line. Let's take another look outside here, and you can see the skies are darkening here on the west side of Franklin. And the worst, we are going to get some gusty winds in Franklin, but perhaps the strongest winds are actually moving into Davidson County, coming out of Cheatham County. We also have a severe thunderstorm warning that was just issued for Sumner County and in the eastern part of Robertson County. Storm coming through Cross Plains, moving up toward Portland. This storm has a hook on it. Maybe some minor rotation, but again, this threat with this for hail and strong winds. Let me zoom out. Here's what we've got going on. We've got the line of storms in this leading edge coming into Nashville now with the potential for some damaging winds, and there likely will be reports of some wind damage, some trees down and power lines down based on the history of this storm as it's coming into Nashville right now. We'll take a look at at the winds again being measured by the radar. These winds are a little bit off the ground, not necessarily right at the ground, but similar to what we saw earlier in that 60 to 70 mile an hour range, maybe a little bit higher. And so the question is, and apparently this has happened at times, some of that really high wind just off the surface can be brought down to the ground and at least in brief spurts down trees and down power lines. So that's what's coming into Nashville now. I'll show you that again as we look at what's going on in the western part of Davidson County. So the radar is showing, 70 to 80 mile an hour winds now just off the ground. And at times, apparently, this line does have a history of bringing some of those winds down to the ground. The Weather Service is still noting 70 to 80 mile an hour winds being showing up on the radar. So it's coming into, some of the strongest winds would be coming into the western part of Davidson County right now along River Road, near the intersection of River Road and Lakeview Drive. It's about to move over the bend there and moving toward Cockrell Bend. It's moving over Bell's Bend right now. And then extends down into Bellevue. Bellevue, you're likely getting some gusty winds too as it's pushing off. This line is pushing off to the east into the heart of Bellevue. So we've got Highway 70 right here, and Old Hickory Boulevard, Hicks Road, Bellevue Road. This is where it's Sawyer Brown. So kind of crossing through right now, probably a very ugly look with these storms as they're moving in through Bellevue right now. Very dark clouds, kind of a low, probably low shelf cloud, similar to what we're seeing here in the west side of Franklin. The winds have gone a little bit still, but they'll be picking up here in just a moment here in Franklin. So strongest winds on the south side of this part. Let's take a look and see if what the radar is estimating down here. Radar estimates down here. So at the apex moving into Davidson County, the winds aloft are somewhere between 70 and 80 miles an hour. Again, not necessarily making it to the ground, but there's the potential for that. Down across Williamson County, it's a little less. It's in the 60 to 70 mile an hour range. And so that's where you have the potential as this bow moves through that some of those stronger winds could be brought down to the surface. Notice there's not nearly as much light. Okay, they just issued a tornado warning for Davidson County. Tornado warning for Davidson County, including downtown Nashville. And I can tell you right now, just based on the radar, what they're seeing. I'll take a look at it here in a moment, but that's what they're seeing right there. And this is going to be moving through the northern section of Davidson County. So that's what we're going to be seeing. Let's take a look here with the velocity data. There's your rotation. Let's see what the Weather Service is saying. We've got a tree down near the Hickman-Dixon County line. Tornado warning coming for Davidson. Rotation starting to wrap up. Let's also take a look outside here in the Franklin area. Nothing particularly bad there. Just the darkening skies. And so you've got the rotation kind of right on the apex of that bow where we've had a history of some wind damage from time to time. Let's see here. So let me read the warning to you. So tornado warning for Davidson, Sumner, Wilson, and Cheatham counties. I think most of it really is into Davidson County, though. Severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado 7 miles south of Joelton, 7 miles northwest of downtown Nashville, moving northeast at 60 miles an hour. This is a radar-indicated tornado. So this is what we've been watching as it's been moving, and it really, again, coincides with the strongest part of this bow. It really coincides with this part where it's bowing out the most. And even if you didn't see a tornado, it still has the potential for very strong straight line winds. So starting to see the winds pick up here on the west side of Franklin too. And we'll be seeing getting into the rain here as this part of the storm comes in, but the strongest part is right up here. So areas that rotation is going to be passing across: Germantown, Whites Creek, Old Hickory Boulevard, and Eaton Creek Road, Old Hickory Boulevard and Clarksville Highway, Whites Creek, Old Hickory Boulevard and Whites Creek Pike, anywhere in that area. That's where it looks like the strongest of the rotation is going to be passing over, right in through here. And there's the update. Here come the bigger winds in Franklin. I can hear them approaching, coming over the hill there in the distance. So we're going to see gust of wind. So we'll see what the southern end of this line is doing. We have the tornado warning that's in effect for, the tornado warning is in effect for Davidson County. The line, those severe thunderstorm warning in effect for, here come the winds, for the western part of Williamson County. So this is what the southern end of that line is doing. The tornado is going to be going on the, if it's on the ground, is going to be going on the north side of downtown. We also have some hail that'll be possible. It's going across Cockrell Bend right now. It'll be near Briley Parkway and Ashland City Highway, Cato Road area. Again, looking at the winds picking up here in Williamson County too, on the south end of this line. But the strongest winds and hail moving through the northern parts of Davidson County. So your greatest threat for hail is going to be right in through here. Your greatest threat for a spin-up tornado is going to be just to the north of there. So let's see what the Weather Service is saying. $quarter to $half size hail potential here. In the purple, again, that's crossing over Stewart's Lane at Briley, near Briley Parkway. It's going to be passing over Ashland City Highway into Bordeaux, very close to, well, it'll be going through Bordeaux. See, they're updating the tornado warning here. Let's see what they say with that. Tornado warning continuing for these areas until 5:30. Winds still very strong, showing up on radar aloft. So, and a new tornado warning for this cell, Sumner County. The rotations around New Deal moving toward Portland and Oak Grove. It's going to cross the Austin P Highway between Portland and Oak Grove. Is where that rotation is going to pass. So we've got two tornado warnings now, one for this cell and then one for the cell moving through Nashville. Again, here's what's going on the west side of Franklin, just more in the way of wind. Rains are about to start, coming over the hill there. You're getting a little bit of a pinching off, like a donut hole there. That's a sign that the rotation it's getting maybe a little bit better organized. And that rotation, again, passing over Germantown, Whites Creek, and that's Germantown on the north side of Briley. That's not right there on the north side of the downtown loop. But Buena Vista, Whites Creek, it's going to cross Clay Lick Road near Old Hickory Boulevard is where that rotation is going to pass. Coming into the south side of this is coming into the west part of Franklin. And there's a live look there. And there's your tornado warning for Davidson County.